Bitcoin has came down quite a bit over the last couple of days. Nothing crazy, but $1.1 billion has been liquidated, and quite a lot of that has been through the altcoin side. But there is a lot of fear, I believe. X is all over the place. Traders are rage quitting. And yeah, a lot of the this is the end of the bull market vibes. However, for me, I've got a slightly different outlook. Now, if you're here on red days, you're probably better than 90% of the market. Leave a like on the video. Let me know what's happening in your life in the comments section. And yeah, let's get down to it. Now, the news that everyone is reacting to is more importantly the fact of Iran and Israel. Yeah, this is not good. Lots of airstrikes have been happening on Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs and have warned for further action. This is a bit of an issue. Now, we could talk bullish, bearish, or whatever, but obviously this isn't good. But we all know that often with times of uncertainty, Bitcoin does over time react pretty well to certain things like this, like gold and like oil, which we will talk about. My only thing with this is Trump has now got involved, obviously making deals and stuff like that. We have to be very much kind of, sensitive in terms of what could be happening in terms of the long-term picture here with the Middle East. It's been rough for a couple of years now. But as I say, oil has been pretty much, surging off the back of it. This is obviously a massive geopolitical catalyst in terms of, buying and selling of certain precious things that could be of interest. And we could look at Bitcoin in the long term if there's going to be issues with, say, cash flow, liquidity, all that kind of stuff. It could be very, very interesting. But the one thing that we do need to remember, gold is acting still as that safe place to go. It is up and it's surged to a new monthly high based off the tensions in the Middle East. And this is what's interesting. It's like almost $4,000 pretty much, which is mad. Bear in mind, it was closer to 2,000 for a long time, and it failed to get above that, and it's almost doubled. Not quite at 4,000, but you can get the idea. A couple more months of this tension, you're probably going to find a $4,000 gold at some point very soon. But what has happened is Bitcoin has been caught in the crossfire. It's probably due to the liquidity side of it with that situation. People do panic, people go to Bitcoin first, and low liquidity, over leveraged longs, cascading of stop losses on altcoins. It rolls downhill. This is why you get 10% drops in a day, and this is why it's a bit shit. Even though the CPI data was relatively good, you cannot, expect, things to keep mooning or things to be okay if people are throwing rockets around in the Middle East, which is a bit of a problem. Now, with that said, what has happened is Bitcoin dominance has risen even higher, which is interesting. We will come on to that in a minute. But let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin still looks okay, kind of. Even though people panic a little bit, and yeah, we've hit key levels and highs and all kinds of stuff, and profits has been taken here. But my biggest concern is the fact that, well, realistically, it's all about altcoins and the USD dominance and stuff like that, and what is happening there. Because when you peel this back a little bit and take its clothes off, it's still in an uptrend, right? It's still okay. Reality is, though, people are panicking because everything else is looking nothing like this chart. That's where the big issue is. We could talk about the Ethereum BTC chart where it just looks like a dog's dinner. It's been consolidating for a couple of weeks now, and this is it. And every single time it tries to go higher, it fails, which is a problem. And when you put this onto, say, even the Ethereum USD chart, it looks a bit shit, just saying. So that's a bit of an issue. Now let's dumb it down a little bit. Stable currency dominance. Talked about this quite a lot on my channel. We are pulling back quite a lot here. Whether we go lower or not, I don't know. That's the thing. We are in a downtrend, and normally with a setup like this, you'd expect it to pull up and then go back down again and probably retest these. This is the chart about existing liquidity, i.e. monies, stable currency, whatever it is, going back onto risk on. That risk on may actually be Bitcoin here. So be mindful of that. With conflict, with war, with that understanding of around that and that instability, so to speak, you may well find that Bitcoin rises faster or it goes up and altcoins don't follow it because people are shitting themselves, basically. Because every single altcoin chart in the BTC pair is looking awful. Awful, right? So that's what we've got to be in mind with. Now, I said in my last video, there's a potential ETF catalyst where they could turn ETFs online at the end of the year, and that could be a catalyst. Why? Because these altcoins are that low. The low liquidity, it might well just be an absolute spark of ignition, which could be interesting. It could get people back into the market. But that is all very speculative, obviously. So we've got to be mindful of, obviously, the USD stable currencies and stuff like that. But as I say, the Bitcoin dominance is still chugging up slowly. It's like a roller coaster, right? It's just going up consistently, right? And with Ethereum not doing what it wants to do, with certain altcoins not breathing anywhere near what we'd expect, it's a bit of an issue. And I talk about it a lot on my Patreon about altcoins and why I'm trading them, but ultimately I'm disappointed with how it has been over the last couple of months because they're not moving like they used to. They're not in those big, massive, slopey trends. Whereas what's happening is we're going up a bit, we're breaking structure, we're breaking cover, and then we're just getting zipped right back into it very much aggressively, which has happened on the likes of Solana, for example, recently, where you could argue on the daily time frame here, entry levels were kind of coming in, then boom, you've been dekegged, literally. So it's not fun at all. And this could be an interesting level where we could, wherever this goes now, it might well pop up and then we may well rotate back down again. Depends on the interest. If Bitcoin does nothing and chills out and the altcoins are still in that horrible downtrend, the altcoins are just going to sit lower and lower. And as I say, as much as we talk about liquidations and stuff, Ethereum hit this key level right on the fucking nose, literally right on the nose. No, this has been on my chart for donkeys now. Just zipped right off it. Absolute key level rejection. Awful. Now, in terms of other news, which is a little bit random, I'm going to say, earn up to 4% Bitcoin on every purchase with the new Coinbase One card. I'm pretty sure this is a credit card. It's powered by the American Express network, which is mad in itself. So yeah, I didn't expect this, but this could be an interesting kind of thing where people could use it. Obviously, I can't get it. I'm in the UK, but it may well be something that will help consumers in a way. I know, it's absolutely random. Another thing that is happening, there is a potential ban lifted on retail investors by buying cryptocurrency ETPs in Britain, but it's already said it won't give Britain the edge because we're fucking that behind anyways, let's be honest. So yeah, that might be one little thing to keep an eye on. And the final one and the funniest one and the best one is all the nuances about Congress and all the bills and, the Genesis side of it, or Genius, sorry, the Senate, all these hearings about bullish elements around stable currencies and the market structure bill, etc. Things are happening under the hood, which is good. But as I say in my analysis, when we got, a lot of market fatigue and people wanting bull markets and people over leveraging and then, throwing bombs around in the Middle East, it's not going to be fun for the market. But also the S&P 500 if feeling it today. It's going to be probably a rough day in the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. Just the way it is, unfortunately. But in terms of my game plan, it is all about Bitcoin at the minute. We need to wait and see what happens here. It needs to be stable because every single macro risk and every single time it shakes a little bit, altcoins get shook even harder. And those Ethereum / altcoin positions, for example, we're waiting for some sort of strength, but there isn't any at the minute. And that's the most, problematic element here. There's a lot of low volume bollocks here. There's a lot of poor market structure and volume alone. And that's where I think people are getting caught. And there will be people preaching and screaming and doing content around, oh, buy the dip, buy the dip. But realistically, we've got to wait and see what happens here because it could get a lot worse before it gets better. And the structure failed to the upside. It's probably going to go into the downside, which is always a manipulative spike, a deviation, so to speak. So yeah, we have to be very, very mindful. So let me know if you are buying this dip or sitting it out. Personally, as I say, I'd wait and see. However, this is my last video for a little bit. I will probably not be around next week due to my other half having a baby. It's pretty much confirmed for next week. So yeah, appreciate the love and the comments and stuff like that. I do appreciate it massively. So take care.